Radical love, what does that mean? In some ways, it's not a great title because I think it's a little redundant. I think that love itself is radical. When we are practicing actual, true, deep, empathetic love, it is a radical concept. In fact, I think what most people would point to, oh yeah, it's like when I have warm feelings about someone or have warm feelings about myself. I love myself if I have warm feelings about myself or about other people. We've all been kind of programmed with these very romanticized ideas of love and marriage and relationships. I don't think that has anything really to do with the warm fuzzies. I think that it is a recognition of the divinity, the miracle that is another human being, regardless of who that human being is. To love who loves you that's patty cake. That's babies. That's child's play. To love is to love those who hate you. That you even have these feelings of disagreement or anger with or whatever. To love your enemy, to pray for your persecutor. That is love. And that's the kind of love, that's, to me, radical love. Again, I say radical because it's radical compared to what most other people's ideas of love is. But really, it's just love. That's actually what love is. It's being able to look at whoever is across the aisle of a different political spectrum, a different sex, race, faith, country to country, people group to people group. We are so divided. I mean, the United States is a really sad example of how much division. I mean, we're just straight down the middle on almost every, hot topic. We cannot look across the aisle and say, I completely disagree with you. In fact, I think that what you're standing for can be very problematic in this world. And yet, I still love you. I still think that the reason why you think the things that you think is not because you're evil. It's not because you're somehow this broken, bad person. It's because you are a product of your environment in the same way that I am a product of my environment. In order to embrace and love myself, I have to first accept that I am a product of the parenting that I received. It's not my fault that I struggle with the things that I struggle with. In order to forgive ourselves, which we all need to do, we have to recognize that we're doing the best that we can with the tools that have been afforded to us at that point in our lives. And that is the reality. That is the truth. So until we can come to that place as individuals, with ourselves, with other individuals, just in our own lives, and then collectively as a people group, we're just going to keep fighting and going over this horrible, vicious cycle all the way to the bottom. If we want a better future, we need to be working on more than just saving the environment. Obviously, we want the world to survive, but what good is a world to live in if we all hate each other in that future? That is not a future that any of us want to be living in. So that to me is kind of, what radical love, I think, stands for. It's to radically accept, radically forgive, and radically love whomever is across the aisle. And that is, I understand, a very difficult concept for a lot of people to wrap their head around, because we look at someone doing a bad thing and our initial gut instinct is bad, evil, wrong, monster. We point the fingers and point the fingers and point the fingers. Now, are the actions that this person are doing, are those sometimes monstrous, villainous, evil? Absolutely. But there's still a 5-year-old child in them that came into this world and had nothing but optimism, nothing but potential, nothing but openness, nothing but love. And then the way that the world ultimately misfigured them in their heart, in their mind, in their psyche. That is what we have to be paying more attention to and recognizing, and then applying an empathy to this person. It is not excusing the evil act. It is instead trying to apply love to those who are doing the evil act, because only then can we redeem those people. I mean, and this is happening on a regular basis. People go to prisons all the time. There are groups of people that see murderers on death row, and yet they can still see the human being in them. They say, listen, what you did was wrong and you're on death row because of what you did. But I am not going to give up on you and the redemption of who you can be in your soul, because I see that X, Y, or Z. I saw that you were raised in this type of an environment. You were abused as a child. Your father beat you and put cigarettes out on you. You watched your father or mother or cousin kill someone else. You saw that as a sign of survival. You didn't have enough money to buy food for your family, so you started to steal. And then in order to steal, you needed to protect yourself, you thought. And so you carried a gun. And then somebody tried to stop you from stealing, and you went and shot them. And now you're a murderer. Now, none of that excuses the murder. but all of it explains why that murder ended up happening. And if we can do that, and this is where I think Christ was really trying to get to the heart of it. He's like, hey, there is none righteous, not one. There's not one person on this planet that can actually stand above everyone else and cast the stones. He who is without sin, cast the first stone. Everyone's like dropping the stone. Well, like, that's not me. That's not you. That's not anybody. You know, and yes, we could probably sit here and hash up like, well, what's a more egregious sin? But they're all sin at the end of the day. They're all things that we're all falling short of treating each other as the divine miracle that we are. And people ask me, what about people who don't believe in a spiritual plane or God or whatever? You know, how do you explain to them that they're a miracle? Very easily. We are a mathematical improbability. This planet, that it even exists, that we are a perfect distance away from the sun so that we don't freeze and we don't boil, that we have a moon that is the perfect distance away from us, that allows all of our, literally the systems like gravity to even, you know, the tides to go in and out. And that we have been, as human beings, we've been searching the universe ever since we had the capability. We have been searching the universe trying to find life anywhere else, and we can't find it, and we haven't found it. Now, even if there is other life in the universe, we're still a miracle that this place exists. It's still a mathematical miracle. So even if you don't believe in God, even if you have no spiritual proclivity or, you know, whatever, you can still count yourself as a miracle. And if we can do that, if we can start seeing each other as miracles, if we can see that every blade of grass, every squirrel, every dog, every tree, everything, anything that possesses actual life, we can create everything else. We can make more computers, we can make more phones, we can make more whatever we need to make. And yes, we can also create more life. We do that on a regular basis. But each one of those lives is unique. Every single one of us comes with a uniqueness that, making another Audi doesn't necessarily come with a uniqueness, you know. We are a miracle. That is what I'm trying to drive to people in this. Well, one of the things I'm trying to drive to people in the book, because I really think that if we can wrap our heads around that, if we can change our perspective and we can start seeing each other, even the evil, you know, even the bad, even the monsters, even all these people, and say, okay, yes, they are doing bad, but they started, they were initially, they had all of the promise. And let's have a little empathy with that. Let's have a little grace. Let's have a little more patience. Let's hold them accountable. And I think that's one of the big disconnects that people have. They're afraid that if we start to give people even a little bit of grace, well, now we're condoning their behavior. No. You can love and not like. That's another thing I try to get to in the book. Loving is not just this warm feeling. It's not just like times 100. Like is to like. To love is to just accept the divinity, accept the miracle that is across from you.